Differentiated instruction with Joseph Moynihan. Differentiated instruction is an approach whereby teachers adjust the curriculum and instruction to maximize the learning of all students: average learners, English language learners, struggling students, students with learning disabilities, and gifted and talented students. Differentiated instruction is not a single strategy, but rather a framework that teachers can use to implement a variety of strategies, many of which are evidence-based. Differentiated instruction is basically a fundamental understanding of your students and the ways in which they learn, including readiness, interest, and learning profiles, or the methods students prefer to learn in an unfamiliar concept, skill, or idea. Differentiated instruction is the assessing of students throughout the process of learning, including consistent feedback, monitoring, and support. It is the helping of students to grow in lieu of cataloging their mistakes. It is the differentiating between content, process, and product. So then, with differentiating instruction being confused and muddled up with so many other terms, like UDL and explicit instruction, what is differentiation not? Differentiation is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Differentiated instruction is not the teacher individually tailoring instruction to particular students, but rather to groups of students. Differentiation is not assessing only at the conclusion of a unit, but the progress throughout the unit, assessing students utilizing feedback throughout the process. Differentiation is not stagnant grouping, use of singular methods of representation and expression, or the utilization of one method to facilitate all learners. Differentiated instruction is not applicable when constructing the curriculum, like UDL is, but rather as the teacher recognizes the student's needs. Ways to differentiate instruction, practices, and assessments. There's a number of ways that teachers can accommodate and differentiate instruction. On the practice side, they can provide tiered activities, learning centers, interactive journals, graphic organizers, manipulatives. All of these are the varying ways that individuals might utilize in order to learn. In addition, the assessments, similar to UDL but not exactly the same, rubrics, portfolios, self-assessment, digital self-paced assessments. These alternative forms of assessment throughout the process provide individuals with independent pace, with the ability to be assessed through a variety of means, and to be able to be provided feedback from the teacher and alternative means throughout the process without explicit instruction from the teacher, him or herself. The beauty about this practice, as you can see with these young students utilizing computer programs and games to learn about math, is that the teacher could provide additional remedial instruction to those individuals who are pulled and not utilizing those, and allowing individuals who are already mastered the material to participate in enrichment activities based on that self-paced portfolio. Digital differentiation, implementing technology into differentiation. So basically, designing student-driven learning experiences, providing flexible learning paths through multimedia, developing 21st century skills, providing an effective and efficient process for using tech as tools as learning and not as an end product. Basically, what differentiation is providing individuals with the skills, tools they need to learn based on their own preferences and their own processes. So what differentiation in a digital context provides is a self-paced, process-oriented instruction. It's the teacher as more of a facilitator of student learning than necessarily the instructor. We provide them with the tools and the resources in order to become successful, in order to learn at their own pace and through their own preferred methods and interests. What they do is utilize these tools and resources in order to basically mold and facilitate their learning through a process-oriented approach. Differentiated reading strategies for secondary school experiences. Within the module, we learn that differentiated instruction through the use of peer-assisted strategies and activities can be beneficial for students because you take more experienced peers and pair them with peers who need remedial instruction, or basically through this group collaborative approach, individuals sort of work with one another utilizing the tools and resources you provided in order to strengthen their reading skills. Some of these strategies include partner reads, paragraph shrinking, and prediction relay. All of these improve reading comprehension and the skills necessary to model and inevitably utilize during the reading process. So how to implement PALs into reading instruction? You create pairs based on student performance and needs. This is where assessment comes into play, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each student and pairing them accordingly. Preparing materials including books, feedback forms, and questions. The module actually discussed some alternative reward systems, extrinsic motivators, in order to get students to utilize this pair method, and you can utilize it as well, creating some of the materials and resources necessary prior. Then inevitably you have to train students by discussing what PALS is, how the approach works, modeling the PAL activities, likely between yourself or using a instructional video, allowing time for guided practice. The next two sort of feed off of the explicit instruction framework, in which you are modeling something, providing guided practice, and providing time for independent practice. The beauty about the independent practice is that the teacher can move around, transition, and inevitably provide feedback and guidance while these students are utilizing it. And then begin implementing PALS procedures in class, utilizing consistent feedback and support throughout the process, providing the students with support and utilizing one another and their peers to support learning and reading comprehension. So differentiated instruction reflection. Basically, every single student is going to be different. As we learned with explicit instruction, the universal design for learning, our goal and our intention as educators is to attempt to differentiate and basically meet the needs of these individual students, their learning styles or preferences, and using technology to motivate them to differentiate the instruction through the various ways in which students learn. And now the fact is that digital means isn't always going to be the best means. As we witnessed within the video, sometimes students need something more kinesthetic, as if we were manipulative, or the whiteboards for doing mathematics. Other times they like to use digital text, including the games or the process-oriented iBooks. Sometimes individuals need to use and implement individual activities, and other times they need group work. They need that peer-facilitated instruction. So while there is no one-size-fits-all method of instruction, practices, or activities, it's understanding what it is that the student needs in that particular instance to learn that particular content, skill, or idea. It's establishing through progressive assessment how the student is doing, what they need to succeed, and implementing those instructional practices and methods and assessments in order to ensure that they do. Thank you very much for taking the time to review my differentiated instruction project. These are the references below, the utilities and resources that I used in order to reflect on the process. Thank you very much.